A warm welcome to you, our viewers of the YAKE YouTube channel. Today is another day where we bring you an episode of Hostel IMEWEZA on this YAKE YouTube channel. And as always, we bring you stories of innovation, stories of entrepreneurship, big minds doing things, especially young people who are coming up with ideas that are bringing impact to our community and to the world at large. As always, I'm your host, Edna Mumbi-Maina. Welcome to our YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Maybe you can introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi, I am Justus. I am a co-founder and CEO of a little startup called Home Africa. So Home Africa, we built a platform that is helping landlords to connect to tenants, and we are currently focused on student tenants. So essentially, we found that students struggle a lot to find quality accommodation, quality and affordable one, and we realized that this is because landlords still depend on traditional marketing. So essentially, this is where we see the posters along roads, Junior Hioya, Mganga kutoka Ukambani, and now we've built this platform where all the landlords list their properties with images and all necessary information, so that every student who has a smart device, which I say is essentially everyone, is able to come and browse all available accommodation around their campus, and they are able to conveniently find quality accommodation. So that's what I do right now.
I think before we get now to the conversation itself, as always, you're going to take a question that you can get to know a little bit about what Justus thinks that is away from at home and all these things. So we're going to pick a question. The question reads, if you could swipe lives with a cartoon character for a day, who would it be? Are you a cartoon fan?
Well, I've not exactly been a cartoon fan. That would be a hard one. But there is this film Moana, and then there are these little pirates. I don't know, pirates or pilots. I can't. Kikuyu, forgive me. But yeah, so they are in the sea, and then they attack Moana as they go to find the heart of Tefiti. They look like coconuts. So initially they are very cute things, and then they all of a sudden they become very, very, very brutal. So Kakamuras.
Oh yeah,
Kakamuras. Sorry.
That is the character you pick.
Yeah, that's a character I pick.
Okay. It's interesting because in the whole Moana film, I think the Kakamuras are okay. They're the part of the main characters, but not that much. I think it's like the big So I think for me, there was an old cartoon, Kikambo. Maybe people will get to know my age through that. But there's this cartoon that was called Farhat. It was a very old cartoon. It's funny because it's a male character, but the guy, that cartoon character used to, there was this shadowy thing. I think it's the villain of the film. But Farhat used to beat very, really odds. And then Farhat was a very huge hero, that Kairia cow. So I was like, But in recent times, I think Patrick from SpongeBob. I'd like to be Patrick because Patrick currently has a whole show for himself. It's called the Patrick Star Show. And it's good to be in the spotlight today. Would like to know how did this idea come to your mind? How did you come up with this idea?
Well, so I joined campus in 2019. So 2019 to do civil engineering here in Dedan Kimathi University of Technology. So Home came up later in 2021 after the corona pandemic. So we went home. Before I went home, I had moved out. So when coming back, we have exams for the whole second year because we learned it online. So now we have exams for 2 semesters. We are coming back and immediately getting on them. So I had to travel from Murang'a early on. Immediately Uhuru said, we've opened the country, the boundaries. So I'm traveling I'm coming to move around again around the coach to find a place. Actually, the place I got was through my friends. Eventually, it's my friends who told me about the place they were living in. It was an interior place with very affordable houses, but I had never even gotten to that place since getting to the coach. So that's actually when now I realized, like, we've learned a whole engineering second year online. Why couldn't I just find these houses online? So that's the first time the idea of Adhome came up. A website for students to find houses. Through time, it has continued to like morph into what it is today, but essentially that's how Adhome came.
So it brings to life the notion that necessity is the mother of invention.
Precisely. I think that the best way to find problems to solve, well, we talk about innovation, and then I tend to see people thinking of innovation like something that happens in a vacuum. So essentially we are just here and then we innovate. I believe that innovation happens, can only happen from our daily lives. So essentially you have this need, you have this problem. I hate walking around. I feel the awkwardness of knocking on people's doors to kuna nyumba huku, kuna vacancy. And then I decide, so why don't we have? So that's how I believe our innovation should happen. We shouldn't sit anywhere and think about these grand ideas of how we can build, how we can innovate.
Okay, so now the idea has come to your mind, and now you're thinking of, okay, now this is something that can fill the gap of the struggle students go through. So now, how did you visualize the idea?
Okay, so in our daily lives, I don't know if you believe in luck, but I believe that luck is a great part of who we are right now and the things we are doing. So back then, when I got the idea, I happened to just have this friend who, he's my classmate in civil engineering, but he was from UON but transferred to the CUT. And then I share with him the idea, and apparently while he was in UON, he had interacted with the concept of startups. So essentially that's ideally how you have a very raw idea. So you essentially form a startup it's like a bus that helps you refine the idea into something. So now I tell him the idea and he gets it because he has interacted with such concept, and that's how we partner. Essentially, he was my first partner, and we start building the website. Now from there, moving forwards, everything else is from talking to customers. You essentially have to interact with them. So we are creating a platform for students and landlords. So we now start getting to the landlords, and now through the interactions, you start now learning what the platform should be like. So that's essentially how I got lucky to have that partner who already knew, had interacted with the concept of a startup. Now, so for me, it was pretty easy to now move on to the landlords, talk to them about it, and that's how.
Okay. And I think, for myself, I have a program. And I found the biggest challenge in starting that program or executing the plan or the idea that I had is, trying to convince people. Because I think now, for you, you're now talking to landlords. No, not everyone say yes. Some will be like, hey, the common Kenyan feeling. So how did you deal with like these things if you came across such obstacles?
So, well, I do agree with the part that being young, being in campus, and also talking to landlords who are if you think of a typical landlord, they are a bit old, senior, they are senior citizens. So adding technology to that, the vibe it's giving is just, you're coming to con me. That's literally what you're coming to do. So the advantage I had was like I started from my home ground. So these people have been seeing me around. I might live in this property only, but they do see me. I come across, we meet with the caretakers, so it was just easier to now approach them. I'm not a total stranger, but when you start venturing further away from home, now that barrier starts, you will notice it. So a caretaker is afraid to connect you to the landlord, and there is no progress you can make without the landlord. They make the decision. So yeah, you start coming to that barrier. But again, what I can say is when you're solving a problem for someone and it's a real problem, so they have no option but to listen to you. The analogy I use is so you're at a beach, someone is sinking. The person went too far from where they are able to step on the ground, so they are sinking, and then someone comes and with a boat, and they have the floater. So whether the person in the water likes the person with the floater, whether they are racist, whether this person in the water is whatever they are, they have no option but to take the floater. So ideally, they are this once in a lifetime, you do come across a problem that is essentially you either take the floater or you don't. So when you come across that, it's easier to interact with the potential customer. It's easier. Yeah. So, and I've not met a lot of friction. So I would say at home is kind of like such an issue where now the landlords are really struggling to meet the students. So when I propose the solution, it's just easier for them to listen, and also we made it kind of risk-free. So essentially we say you do not need to pay us anything. You will only pay us if we bring the student and they have moved in, which was a little easier that way. So, yeah.
All right. How is it giving back to you what you've invested in it?
So it's I cannot say how frequent I get asked that question, and kind of it just tells you about what people think when starting a business.
The profit.
Yeah. So how will it give me back my time, the time I've put in, the little funds I've So one is through that way we've alluded. We bring you a tenant, you pay us for bringing you that tenant, and it's a one-time commission. Although currently we're actually lifting that commission to just let the people enjoy the service, get a feel of it. For us, that will be helping us get a lot of customers at the same time, so we can learn a lot and iterate on the product to get to a place where we can now be very confident with how it works. Yeah, but moving forward, so we are going to diversify our business model. So this is where, when talking to the landlords, one of the things I come across is they are not even interested in us marketing their room. They're actually telling us about how they have locked a room because the tenant who was there amewapea stress hadi ana prefer kuwa tu amefunga hiyo room kuliko hadi ikuwe na mtu. And now I met a landlord mwenye travel kilometers because they built a house in one campus, but they actually work very far away. So I met them, and they had traveled that morning to go, and alivunja nyumba ya huyo tenant, akatoa vitu nje na akaifunga juu sasa huyu mtu for the longest time he does not want to pay rent. He's always changing so I'll pay 21st. Oh, my parents did this, our cat died. So we have this challenge of the landlords now even need a solution in managing the tenants. It's not only bringing tenants, they need to, because otherwise they are stressed. So now we look at such a market and we see a potential to help the landlords in reducing the friction they have with the tenants. So getting to property management, and we also want to build a software that will be standard for all agencies and landlords. So essentially anyone who manages a property, we want to build a software that is what they go to for their records keeping, tenant screening, accounting, everything. So that's where we are going towards.
What do you feel are your achievements so far since creating Ad Hoc?
So there's one landlady. She had never filled her hostel since building it in 2021. We met with her in 2024 July. Her hostel is a little bit interior from where the university is, but for the first time she fills her house. Totally, because it's the little magic moments that tell you that's essentially just motivate you to continue doing. Monetarily, I can actually say there is minimal impact to myself monetarily, but because of how I see this platform impacting people, and now I think of it on a very large scale, and that feeling of what this platform will do to people makes me want to go on.
And I like the fact that you one can tell the passion through your talk. Currently, the young people, when they think of entrepreneurship or innovation, the first thing they think of is money. How will it bring me 1 million in 1 year? And it is good to hear from people who have such companies and organizations and all that.
So football is simply every team wants to win. Every team wants to score the most goals to win the game. So let's say there is Man City will play Man United next week. Now Man City could start preparing right now, and they want to beat Man U 5-0. So one thing they could do is what we call manifesting. So they write 5-0 with a very large font, place it kwa their room, the locker room, hapo mbele, and then they come, we are manifesting 5-0, we are manifesting. So for the whole week until next week, they are manifesting 5-0. Or they could simply train very well, and not even think about the 5-0. They do not get, simply they're just training. And when next week comes, you can bet who is going to score 5-0. Is it the person who manifested, or simply was very simply stayed at the 5-0, imagining it, thinking about it, or the person who trained and cared less about the 5-0?
The latter.
Yeah, so essentially it's just that, comrades, money will come. Money will indeed come. You just need to be on the thing, just do the job, focus on the process.
At this point, I'd like you to talk to, because you have those who finished currently, and they are now in the position whereby they need to charter their future and to decide what careers to take, all these things, and being in the field that you are in. Maybe give an advice to those young people.
So first, there is this issue of everyone says that education is a scam, and you do not need to go to school. Someone might even give an example with me. I did a degree, civil engineering. I do not know how that relates with the platform I'm building. Actually, the joke I give is, nilikuwa nataka kujengea watu manyumba, but nawatafutia manyumba, but Mungu ni Mungu. That way. So looking at me, someone might say yes, unaona hata yeye ona alisoma degree mzima na haimsaidi.
Yeah.
Well, true as that might be, the only reason I'm working on ADHOM is actually because I was in campus. So I want to advise people, when anyone asks me about going to campus, I tell them, if not for the course, if for whatever reason I didn't happen to want to do anything, I was just, life happened to me mostly. So you finished primary school, you need to go to high school, we go. High school is over, you need to be in campus, we go. So essentially, I didn't want to do civil engineering, but I can't say I wanted to do anything even. So civil engineering was just life happening to me. So for the people who do not know what they want to do, if not for what you want to do, just be in campus. For the environment there is there, you'll meet minds. I would never have met my first partner who had already this exposure to my line, the line I am in now. So come to campus for the environment, for it will give you taste. So essentially, people who are in campus are, well, people might argue otherwise, but if you qualify to be in campus, you are intelligent. That's just the thing. You're intelligent. Now you'll be around very intelligent people. They will infect you with a taste of success. They'll imagine, they just happen to when they imagine success, for them it's way past what many people who are in campus can imagine. Yeah, so be in campus for that, and for the cause you can do, I do think that should be educated by the environment we're in, the industries that are growing. And I think that if you are able to get in anything computer science, I'm not saying that if you do computer science you'll have a job. I'm just saying that if you do computer science you'll have a lot of leverage, and that is if you actually get to become good at it. Software development and all. I think you do not even have to be employed. It's very easy for you to even make your own job. So computer science is a field I would encourage many people to do. And the other one is actually content creation. So there's this concept I go to a lot, leverage. Say mentor model, leverage. So leverage is essentially how you multiply. So there was this thing about lifting a stone. If you want, using a crowbar. So essentially, you have a very big stone, and then to make work easier, you take a crowbar and then you pivot it, and then you'll be able to lift. And then there is that thing about the further you go, if you hold the crowbar at the farthest, it becomes even easier. So that's leverage. Essentially, you have this big stone to move, and then you take a crowbar, you give yourself leverage. So even in life, there's leverage. For instance, I am creating a platform to connect people to connect students and landlords. How traditionally we do it is you have an agent. So this is one person. He has met all this. He has built this catalog of properties, and then if you come, he'll take you there. Now, at any one moment, an agent can only be with one person in the field. So he can only be taking one person. But then you can write code, what we've done, and create this platform where now 100 people could be using this platform at the same time without me doing nothing. So essentially it's just code. That's just code I've written, but it has multiplied my work. So essentially, previously I could only move one person. Now I can move 100. So code is leverage. Content creation is another form of leverage. So if we didn't have this camera like right here, right now, I could only be talking to one person. But then we have this. Now we have YouTube. You'll put it on YouTube, and now I'll be talking to thousands of people. So leverage. So content creation is something.
Tell us, if someone now, there's a student out there who wants to who's looking for a space, how can they get at home, and even for those landlords, landladies, that property owners that would like to get their properties featured on your website or your platform.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
So being able to find a house easily is very easy. You just go to your phone, go to Google and search adhome.africa, adhome.africa. You'll land on our platform, and that's for the students who are looking for a vacancy, or even a landlord who wants to market their property. The unfortunate thing, or rather fortunate, is that this platform is currently exclusive to students of Dedan Kimathi. So they can also call us directly. We have 01. Our phone number is 01-147 99979. Yeah, so if you call that number, we will be able to answer all questions you might have. So you can also find Adhome on social media. We are at adhome_Africa, I think, on all platforms. Yeah, so also follow us and visit our website to find houses conveniently or market your house.
So I think before we finish, we're going to take another question.
So what piece of advice would you give your younger self?
Maybe you can pick an age. Can you just pick an age of the self that you'd like to advise?
Wow. Never thought about it. I would like to advise me in 2019. How old was I back then? I think 18. So I was a little. I came to campus very shy, and I had a lot of pressure to be able to do things, especially socializing. Now, I had put a lot of burden on myself to be able to. So it's where I meet someone, and then that conversation goes badly, and after I beat myself so hard. So I would say that I would advise myself back then that it only gets easier. So with age, it just comes. You get better at it. Be at peace. Be easy on yourself. Yeah, that's what I would advise myself.
That's very nice advice. I think I would also advise my 18-year-old self, because at 18, there were a lot of things that didn't really seem clear, and a lot of fears. I had a lot of fears back then. I didn't really know what, at that time I'd think by 25 I'd be married and have a car and have a very working career. And all these things were in my mind, and I had a lot of visualization of how my life would be. So I'd tell my 18-year-old self that just live life, let life come to you. Don't perceive all these things. Let life come to you, and once you allow life to come to you, life unfolds beautifully, because now you're doing life without really a manual. Because when you're telling yourself you want to get married at 20, 24, it's like a manual you're creating for yourself. So I think just tell her that let life unfold. Live life as an 18-year-old girl. Don't enjoy each and every year that comes, and trust me, it gets better as you grow. Yeah, so I hope our 18-year-old guys have had that. I think that's it for our discussion today on Hostel YAKE. Thank you so much, Justus, for gracing our set today. I think I personally, my biggest takeout, apart from the leverage part, is the passion. I'd love to have such passion in whatever I am doing. Yes, so until next time, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, share our videos, so that this information and all the discussion we get can reach more and more people. And until next time, bye.